Yo guys, namaskaram. So in this video I wanted to talk about modern relationships in general because I feel a lot of us, specifically people who message me, are in that age wherein certain decisions need to be taken as to whether one should get married or not. Now, on a personal level, a lot of things can vary. That's for you to decide on an individual level. But probably, I think I just wanted to help you with some fundamentals because right now the problem is that we have this ancient system wherein the laws are so skewed against men in general. I'm specifically talking from an Indian context because earlier people, when they went into marriages, it was like an eternal thing, or more from that perspective that they would stay together from like the whole life in which they are alive. And the laws are also made in such a way that if there is any follow of any divorce or anything of that sort, probably the male can just help her so-called ex-woman, ex-wife, to be on her own two feet, partly because the structure from which our country comes from is more from, let's say, a very male centric culture. Like women were not very independent per se from an earning capacity and things like that. But now over the time what has happened is the tables have turned quite drastically, wherein we still follow the old systems, but then the women in this day and age are also earning well, but the inner greed that a lot of these women have proclivity towards to is not gone. You see that right now, whenever there are any of these false cases, alimonies, divorce, and whatnot, even though the person is in a good earning capacity, she can relatively take care of herself. Still, the inner greed does not just stop at a point. So, keeping all these metrics in mind, a lot of people have this self preservation strategy wherein one would not enter into any relationships and things like that. Now, for some, it works if your purpose drives you a lot, that you see that women are a complete waste of time. But for a lot of us, a lot of people in general, evolutionary speaking, they all have this need to have a partner for themselves because let's say whenever you as a man are wanting to do something, you always have this that I want to do it for my family, particularly my wife and my kids, and that gives one a lot of meaning. So we can we strike that balance. I think a relationship in this day and age can make or break a lot of things because it's only when your married life gives you a sense of happiness is when you can function optimally in the world. Conversely, if your married life is effed up, there's always stress, tension, fatigue, and all of that. You'll see that even in the outside world, you'll not function to the best of your bestest capability, or you wouldn't achieve your potential. So I think a couple of metrics. One, I have seen a lot that whenever people go into marriages, they become so unfit after 2 to 3 years. There's like this heavy belly coming out of their stomachs. And see, from a relationship perspective, from a marriage perspective, sexual compatibility is very important. When you look yourself in the mirror, would you be turned on by your own self? I think that's a question that you need to ask. And if the answer is now, how would you expect your partner to be, let's say, sexually turned on by you and make love? Because that is what sustains the foundation of a lot of relationships. Even though we can intellectualize and philosophize that lust is bad, all of that, just to virtue signal, truth of the matter is we all are mammals and we all have this very strong need within us to go into this act to make love and all of that. The number one thing, even if one is entering any relationship, any marriage, is to not just let go of the basic fitness level, because you wouldn't want to come at a place wherein you are suffering from 10, 15, 20 different diseases. You're like completely unattractive to your partner. And that is why corporate affairs and cheatings also happen. Though I'm not talking about individuals having a proclivity to be an a-hole, that's on them. But in general, when they see that there is this proximity for 10 to 12 hours every day, and visually a person can see that there's someone more attractive. Evolutionary speaking, something within our mind just gets attracted to that person. Now, of course, choices exist, the will to indulge and all of that. But essentially speaking, I think fitness should be one of the core metric whenever you are entering into any relationship, so that you can just be attractive in your own eyes. Because the right people would complement your life. They'll not become a hurdle to your life, because a lot of us just ignore our health until we are lying in a hospital bed. We feel that investing 1 to 3 hours in a gym and walking is too much. Maybe just investing a very short amount right now, it could be 2 to 3 thousand, is too much. And then when later we end up with a lot of these diseases, partly because we have ignored our health for so long. Like there's a lot of visceral fat in your organs. If you don't exercise, a lot of your organs or even your body in general is not functioning to the highest potential that it can. Anyhow, so the other thing is, see, whenever we enter into any relationship, it's very important that you have this sense of clarity that what is it that you want in life, because a lot of us are so blinded by our own lust that we stop seeing the character, stop seeing the red flags that come. Whenever you enter into any relationship, if you're very clear that, okay, these are my values, these are my long term goals, ambitions, and things like that, you'll know when to back off when things are not working. A lot of us keep on suffering in these useless relationships, useless marriages, is because of our inability to say no. I think in a lot of other, let's say outside Indian realities, where a person is not governed by the so-called Indian laws, there at least they have this, you can say, surety that even if things don't work out after marriage, whatever assets or wealth we have created after marriage would be divided in half. But here, because the laws are not very updated, we still go by the old shackles of our past. It's a very losing game for a male, and I do understand that sometimes just opting out from a marriage is very painful. But I think for Indians specifically, all this work needs to happen whenever you are, let's say, dating, you're in relationships, because people have a proclivity to show their best side, and particularly when one ages, let's say a woman is in her late 20s, early 30s, he has this pressure that whatever person I'm seeing, he has to approve me, validate me. So I'll show my best side to her. I'll consciously make sure that not my red flags are seen and things like that. So you need to be very wary, because people are very consistent with the deeper most character that they have. It shows through their actions. So always see people or judge people through their actions, not by what words they are speaking. And that can only happen when you're very clear as to what is it that you want, particularly from your life. That is why I would just like to quote Lao Tzu here. He says that knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom, because basing yourself on, let's say, true wisdom can help you to guide your decisions in life. And a lot of battles that a lot of us keep on fighting in this life are very internal. When you're not at peace within you, you'll always look for reasons to pick up fights with your partners, create dramas to get a sense of thrill in your life, and also think about what the outside people, that is, what societal image would people have of you as a couple and things like that. But if you're very clear on your values, you know what is it that you want from life, you would just not create all these unnecessary issues which reduce attraction a lot. So I think clarity is foremost. And then whenever you're into this act of relationship, you need to first of all be clear that these are like my certain XYZ values. A lot of us, what we do is once you get a list of all the values, we start projecting all those values onto the outside person, that this is what he or she must have. First of all, it's very important that you become an integrated individual, that whatever you're expecting from the other person, you yourself can be 100% accountable if the other person put you onto the same test with the same values. A problem is that we expect perfection from others, but when we ourselves are put onto the test based on our own values and judgment schemas, we would fail drastically. So I was listening a recent podcast wherein the person had mentioned that let's say if a person or anyone for that matter places a 24/7 camera on your life for a week, your true colors would shine forth. We humans are experts at lying to ourselves. Richard Feynman talks a lot about it. But probably, I think that's also a perspective that whatever we are wanting others to help us serve our needs, are we truly integrated in our own mean to just deliver those needs as well to the other person? Because, see, life, what I have understood from my limited experience in talking to a lot of people, it's a game of being very flexible when you get data from real life, and also being very stubborn on one end that this is what I want from life. So it's a dualistic game. A lot of us are just so attached or blinded by lust from a relationship perspective that when we are getting clear signs that this would not work out, this person is cheating, going left and right, we are not having the courage to just get out, say no, that okay, this is not acceptable to me. I wish you all the best, but this is something that is not working out. Due to this need that I'll not get is, we just keep on suffering in wrong relationships a lot. And it's very important that if you're taking this decision to get married or if you have plans, a lot of testing, rigorous testing needs to happen before you enter into that pact, because you see a lot of cases how men are suffering. Of course, they are good marriages, but right now with all the empowerments and a lot of people are experts in our country to forge all these fake cases, exploit the system, or overburden the system a lot with the intent of their greed so that it can come to fruition. So, all of these things need to be strategically looked at. You need to control in one way or another, or maybe master this lustful tendencies that we all have within us. Because see, essentially, if I just relate to a completely different topic, which is the Epstein files, essentially, people are unable to, let's say, overcome their lust and are just going into these brutal acts. So I just would want that if you can not look from that perspective, when you see that things are going wrong, you have the ability to just back off, not think from a lustful perspective that now I'll miss out on S and all of that. Trust me, in the long term, you'll shoot yourself on the foot. It's okay to be very lustful whenever you're in a relationship with your partner, but if you see the red flags and you know that long term it wouldn't work out, it's just best to walk out. These days, I feel like a lot of relationships, a lot of things that we are currently now picking up, it's very westernized. So I think once the laws be updated in that regard, that males in general don't have to face all this backlash, but probably being very, very strategic around certain things. Ideally, my last two cents of advice would be, this would seem very contradictory to the whole video, would be to just dedicate yourself to a higher purpose, because when you're marching in that rhythm of contributing something of greater value to the world, the right people or the right person, whether it comes or wouldn't come, would not matter, because your purpose gives you that much fulfillment and that much joy. So that's what I wanted to share in this video with some perspectives. I know from the onset it can seem a lot contradictory, but I think life is complex. We all need to have multiple perspectives and employ a critical thinking muscles in whatever way we can. Anyhow, you let me know what you feel about this video. Do write in the comment section what limitations have you broken. And I'll catch you in the next video. So until then, you stay awesome. And this is Debu Pindra from Debu Ki Dastak signing off. Cheers. Bye.